Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Taylor Talks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Taylor, and I'd like to say that I've got a current Super League star joining us on the podcast today. His former clubs include Newcastle Knights, St George Illawarra, Lee St John's, and he's now currently at Castleford Dragons. I'm going to let him pronounce his name because I don't want to make a mess of it. So, Peter, take it away.
Yeah, hi, I'm Peter, and the way to pronounce my last name is Mataltia.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, because I've heard different pronunciations of it before, so it's easier getting the correct one from yourself. First of all, Peter, I've got to ask you, how are you doing?
During this pandemic, I'm really good, actually. I get to spend a lot of time with my family that, as rugby league players, you don't really get to do much with such a busy schedule and one that keeps changing every week. That as well, and, I have my daughter. She's about a week old, and I got to deliver her myself, which is pretty cool too. So, yeah, this pandemic is a blessing in disguise.
And we've got to say from all of us and the people listening, congratulations on that, on the recent birth of your daughter as well. What was that experience like when delivering a newborn baby?
To be honest, I crapped myself in the beginning there, and as time went on, I felt more comfortable. And yeah, once she came out, it was honestly the best feeling. Let alone having your own kids or watching them being born, but to deliver one yourself is something that I'll never take for granted. And it was such a beautiful moment, and got to share it with my wife, and yeah, I'm pretty thankful for that.
And how have the family back in Australia been with their situation as well?
To be honest, I think Australia's been too laid back about it. They've just, they were probably the last country to get hit by this, and it didn't seem like it bothered them too much. But on my side of my family being over there, it was pretty tough. My great-grandmother was in hospital. She's 97 years old, and she sort of depends on family, and for no one to be able to visit to her just because of the protocols of this pandemic was pretty tough to take while I was over here. But like I've learned during this pandemic, you try and find the positive in every negative, and it's been a great learning curve, this pandemic.
And in terms of fitness and training, how has this been different, obviously, to not being on training pitch with your teammates?
It's been tough. The first month, we could only get out for the 1 hour, and there's only so much you could do. Especially with the fields around here at the moment, we're pretty rock hard at the time, and yeah, we get a schedule given by our coaching staff, who are very good, and the last couple of months has been good to get to link up with a couple of players, sticking to our 2 meter distance. It's been great. I think this pandemic will show which players have been working hard and which haven't, and I think it's important. It's going to be the toughest competition, I believe, in Super League history, and it'll probably be the best one to win.
And I've got to mention as well, news broke today that the Samoa team, your team for the World Cup, will be training in Doncaster for the World Cup. So it's not far for you to travel, is it, from Castleford over to Doncaster? That must be a nice experience as well.
Yeah, just 30 minutes away. But it is great for the country, great for the sport. Carl Hoare, such a great ambassador for the game out in Donny, and a big congratulations on him for getting such a cultural team out there too, who will bring another experience to the Doncaster area, and they'll definitely enjoy it.
So we'll go all the way back now to the start. And what was life growing up for you, like in New South Wales in Australia?
Sorry, what was that again?
I said, how was life growing up for you in New South Wales over in Australia?
It was great. I had a tough upbringing, but I learned a lot from it. Got to mature a lot earlier than a normal kid gets to, and but like I said, compared to here, you get to see the beach whenever you want. It's a lot more sunnier than it is over here in England. But in saying that, I love England. I've enjoyed every time since I've been here, every minute since I've been in this country, and hopefully I get to spend a lot more time here.
And was rugby league always the main sport for you growing up? Was that always your first interest sporting-wise?
Yeah. My parents were big volleyball players, so was my older sisters. And, watching my cousin Nigel Wagner grow up as a kid, he inspired my brothers and I to pick up the rugby ball and start playing the game. And then, ever since that day, it's just been something I've always wanted to do, and I'm very humbled to be able to do it for a living and enjoy it as well.
So for people who maybe don't know, how big is rugby league over in Australia and New Zealand and Samoa?
It's our main sport over there, similar to what football is to here. Besides the crowd difference, I think the crowd in Super League is second to none. It's unbelievable. But yeah, playing wise and being able to make a living out of it, it's a great, I wouldn't say job because you end up loving rugby league over there, but it's, yeah, like I said, it's similar to football over here. And if as a young kid, if you do get a chance to pursue that as a dream, you should take it on.
So obviously it's something you've taken up as a profession. When did you first realise you were going to make it as a professional rugby league player?
Oh, as a young age, when my mum split up with my dad, I was 11, and I never got to see her much because she worked two jobs. And I think from that day, as an 11-year-old kid, I found my purpose to make rugby league as a living. I needed to do it. I wanted to see my mum more often. It was pretty tough trying to look after my little brothers and sisters at 11-year-old. And I think that's when I found out I really wanted to become a rugby player. And it was a journey that I'm pretty grateful for, and it's led me to here, and I've enjoyed every step of the road.
So we'll start off with your first club, Newcastle Knights. You've had two spells there, but how did it first come about, you joining the Knights for the first time?
Back home, as a kid, it's pretty. They have a good system to be a rugby league player. There, you got a under 16s comp and under 18s comp that every NRL team has a team in, and you get to make a little bit of money there and get noticed as a rugby league player. We all know that you get based on potential, and it's a great way to learn as a young kid, and you learn lots of skills at an early age, which is probably the big difference from Super League and NRL. You get to develop skills a lot quicker at a younger age. And then, it's, I came for the system at Newcastle, got to debut there, which was a great feeling. I got my whole family watching me, and it also gave my little brothers hope as well to do the same. And, I'm pretty thankful. I grew up a Bulldog supporter, to be honest. But coming through the system at Newcastle, it's something I always cherish, and it's my home back there.
And what was your position that you started off with? Obviously, we know you now as a fullback/centre, but was that always your position even when you was training and first starting up in the game?
I was a 5'8" growing up as a kid, which is probably explains why I like to throw the ball around. And I worked on that a fair bit as a kid, and it's helped me now with all the skills I have now. And as I got older, about 18, 19, I then became a fullback. And then, joining the first team at 18, it's just became where I could get a position, really. I think once you start getting the first team, you got to put aside what position's your favourite, and you need to just take every opportunity that you can get. And, it was either centre, wing or fullback at the time, and I just took whatever I could.
And a main difference as well, you mentioned with the developing systems of NRL and Super League, another difference is the feeder system that the NRL clubs do, so they send you to a different team to learn your development. Do you remember which team it was that you went to before you played for the Newcastle Knights?
Well, back home, we don't really have feeder systems. We have a Harold Matthews comp, which is an under 16s NRL comp, basically. And then the 18s is SG Ball comp, which is the same. Every NRL team has an under 18s team, and you get to play the best players in the country at such a young age. You get the best coaches in the country. And then when that comp goes for about 12 weeks, and when that's up, you go back to your amateur club and you just play for that until you get to play in the 20s Newcastle comp. 20s NRL comp, which is a yearly thing. And you're basically in the system then until you work your way up to the first team.
And do you remember your first team debut for Newcastle? Who was it against?
I was against Roosters. It was a great game. I scored a try on debut as well. My whole family was there. it's such a good team to debut against. I think they were doing pretty good at the time, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Was there any nerves going into it pre-match? Was there anything that you just kept thinking about, or was it just you're here now to do your job?
Yeah, and like I said, I've learned that it's what I wanted to do as a young age. I'm always nervous before every game. Doesn't matter who I play, whether it's the worst team of the comp or the best team of the comp. Nerves is just a part of life. Really, it just means you're doing something that you really care about. But yeah, like your coach tells you, get the ball as early as you can, or make the tackle as early as you can, just to get rid of them. So I'm either getting belted or getting ran over to try and get rid of my nerves.
And what was that feeling like then, stepping out in front of a packed stadium for the first time?
It was amazing. It's undescribing, really. Just waiting in that tunnel, just looking at players that you grew up watching, and you finally get a chance to play against them. It's something that I wish every kid could get to experience. I remember my first week of NRL training. I wanted to go up to the boys and get their autographs, and Chris Houston gave me a little slap over the head and said, there's no time for that. You're actually one of us now. So it was a pretty early awakening, and I'm grateful for the chances I've had in life.
And you mentioned as well scoring a try on debut. Not many people do that. Can you talk us through that try if you remember it at all?
Yeah, I got a crossfield kick against from Jared Mullins. I sort of just ran. I was playing on the wing at the time, and ran, jumped, closed my eyes. By the time I opened my eyes, I had the ball in my hands, and I was over the try line. But yeah, like I said, it's one of the most special moments in my life, and I cherish it.
So that was 2011, and then 2012 comes along, and I think this was a bit of a injury year for you, wasn't it? I think you made one appearance, and you suffered a really bad injury with a cluster larynx. How disappointing was that for yourself?
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing. I thought I could have had a chance to start that year, and yeah, I broke my larynx and nearly died. I was disappointed, but at the same time, I was pretty grateful. You know what I mean? I had great support during that whole time, and Wayne Bennett was in there most days during the week, and it just got me thinking. That I've never really got to talk really deep about this. Never thought I was ready for it, but it's part of life. To be honest, you get thrown around in life, and it's just how you come back from it. And my upbringing has given me a great vibe, a great mindset, a strong mindset too. There's always a way to come back from things, and I took that situation as one of them. And like I said, I don't regret anything. It happened, and yeah, I am where I am today because of that.
What's it like when you have an injury like that, and when you're obviously out for a long period of time? What's it like then watching your teammates out on the field every week, thinking you wish you was part of that?
That the hardest thing for that process for me, like you said, was watching is not being able to help. You know what I mean? I hate missing out on rugby games. I hate missing out on training as well. So just not being able to get out there and help and do my part to help the team get their wins or whatever it was, that was probably the most hurting bit about that process. But yeah, it's like I said, it gave me a chance to grow as a person.
So when you have an injury as well, what's it like when you do your first training sessions and your rehab and stuff like that? Did the club give you a structured way on how to start training back up again when you feel you're ready to?
Yeah, so with that injury I had was a sort of tricky one. I just had to wait for it to for my throat to heal up. I had a hole in my throat for a very long time, and every time I had to talk to people, I had to grab a pad and cover the hole. You know what I mean? I was sounding like Darth Vader at the time, and some boys were giving me some stick about it. But yeah, the process was so long because I just had to wait for that hole to heal, and then eventually they just got me doing some slow running just to get the legs ticked in, and then it was such a slow process, but you got to trust those trainers. They know what they're doing, and it's a part of the game.
And I think people compare like the training to a second pre-season when you get building your energy back up. Would you agree with other people in that regard?
Yeah, 100%. It's probably similar to what we're going through now. I think by the time we get into the season after this pandemic, we'll be doing our fourth preseason of the year. So it is, but like I said, you don't get the rewards from the season. You get it from the hard work you do before the season starts, whether that's in preseason or in your rehab when you're injured. So it's important when you are injured that you do what it takes to get to where you need to be.
So then you come back for injury in the 2013 season. What's your memories on that season as a whole?
It was actually it was a pretty good season. I played pretty well that year. I spent most of my time in reserve grade. I'd done my medial in pre-season that year as well. So I was back at the pecking order. I was also off contract then. It was such a big year for me learning-wise because my father passed away that year. And like I said, I use all those things to grow as a person, and I played pretty good and ended up getting myself a contract to Dragons.
So how does it work with the transfers over in Australia? Is it the same as rugby where they go for players who are out of contract? Was there any kind of messages from the Dragons before that it was interested in your services?
Well, the difference with contracts here and back home is you get to start doing deals November to the year previous to when your last year's on. Wherever here, I think it's May or something, which is pretty crazy because it's a long time to wait to try and sort out a deal and half your year's nearly gone. So, once November hit, my manager just put out some feelers out. I wanted to test myself. I wanted to look for a place where I could play, find a position that I can, cement a spot and play some consistent rugby, and Dragons was that place.
And what was it like on your first training session at your new club? Obviously, new teammates. What was it like getting used to your new surroundings?
Just felt like, your first day at school. I knew a few boys there already, but, it's like I said, it's like a first day at school, going to a new job. It's, you get these nerves, but you're excited at the same time. I was pretty excited. I was looking forward to the challenge, and they had a great team there. And yeah, it's something I loved.
And what would you say your highlights as a St. George player?
My highlight at St. George, pretty tough. I enjoyed every bit of it. Getting to play with Benji, watched him as a kid, and he's one of those players who changed the game. You grow up saying his name every time you have the rugby ball, and to play with him was pretty exciting. And losing to Bulldogs in the semi-finals by Jopko, who ended up making the grand final that year. That was a pretty cool experience for me. It was my first playoff game, and probably those things.
For the playoffs as well, for the NRL, it's a massive spectacle, aren't they, the playoff series, and we're seeing with the grand final. Just what's it like to be part of an experience of a team who are always fighting near the top of the table in that respect? It's
good, It's similar to Cass. Everyone wants to beat you, You always have to expect other teams to play at their best because they know they need to be at their best to beat you. But at Dragons is such a rich club with so much history. You've got a lot to play for and a lot that you're representing, and I enjoyed it a lot.
And then a move comes back to Newcastle for you, so you get a chance to go back to your first club. How did that move come about? Was it a case of being out of contract again?
No, I was actually I just signed a new deal. I was meant to go to Gold Coast. I had a good first 2 years at Dragons, and I actually agreed to go to Gold Coast that year, and I backflipped to stay at Dragons, and then they signed Tim Laffey just after pre-season, and I wanted to know where I stood, and the opportunity to come back and play at Newcastle with my three little brothers was something that I didn't want to turn down because I didn't want to look back and say I wish I'd done it instead of saying, "Oh, I wish I can't believe I got to do it." To be honest, and I never knew how long that opportunity would last. So that's the reason why I went back to Newcastle, just to get to play with my three little brothers. Otherwise, I would have stayed at St. George. I enjoyed my time there, my family, and I loved it there. So, getting to play with my little brothers.
What was that experience like going on the pitch when for the first time you being the elder brother with your three little brothers? I'm guessing what a proud moment it must have been for the family.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. More for my mum. Like I said, growing up, she worked 2 jobs. We rarely saw her, and we wanted to make a massive difference in our family. We wanted to see her more, and just to be able to have her come and watch us four play together was something special, and it's probably the biggest highlight in my career.
And obviously your brother's still playing over in Australia. I'm guessing they're back playing games. They'll have crowds, I'm guessing, soon. Have you spoken to
Yeah,
them about what it's been like over there playing in front of empty crowds for when you get back with Cass?
well, two of my brothers retired from NRL. One retired just with mental health issues, and the other one just didn't feel like he wanted to do it anymore. But Sione, he's still playing. He's the youngest out of the four. Yeah, he finds it weird as well. He says it's just like an opposed session when you play other teams at training. So, but he can't wait for the NRL crowds to come back and get to start playing in front of people.
And have you ever tried to convince him to come over to England to give a crack at Super League a go?
He'd love to come. He's off contract the same year as me, so who knows what would happen. But I know somebody down that motorway down in Lancashire wants him, so it'll be interesting.
So we'll get to you moving. Oh, sorry, we'll get to you moving England now for just 1 second. So you're playing pretty consistently for Newcastle Knights over the years, and you was out of contract at the end of the 2017 season. Was there an opportunity for you to stay? I know you've mentioned it before. You were thinking of retiring from the game at first, weren't you?
Yeah, so I got offered a deal there. I was playing really good that year as well, and just I kept getting mixed messages from the club saying that they're going to sign me. Next week we'll get an offer, and next week turned into 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned into a month. And then I honestly just got over it. I didn't want to move. That was the main reason why I wanted to retire. I didn't want to move again. We just got back from Wollongong. My family and I were settled, and then yeah, that was just the biggest reason I didn't want to move. It was either stay at Newcastle or just hang it up. I was pretty content with what I'd done in rugby league in my career. I was pretty happy with it. And yeah, I was just didn't want to pack up and leave again. I had an opportunity to come to England, but yeah, I told my wife I just didn't want to pack up and leave again.
And we'll go into the club you signed for in a minute, but there was rumours before you signed for Lee that it was going to be St Helens that who were going to come in for you. Was there ever any interest from the Saints in securing your services?
Yeah, so I was gonna go to Saints. After my wife, just before we headed off to the World Cup, my wife spoke to me and said, "I'd regret not going to England." She said, knowing who I was, I'd regret it a lot. And I was going to go to Saints. I spoke to Justin. We agreed to come. I just needed to wait for someone to move on, and he needed me to just be patient and wait. It was like a 2 week process, and I would have had to wait another 2 weeks. And I was on my way to the World Cup then, and same thing again. I just didn't want to wait again, and just before I headed off to the World Cup, Lee came in, and yeah.
So we'll talk about that World Cup first. What was it like playing in a World Cup for the country of Samoa?
It was great. I love playing for my country. I got to play my first game for Samoa when I was 18 with some great players. And ever since that game, I've just wanted to play for them as much as I could. It's the greatest experience getting to represent your family, your parents, and just the vibe you get in that place. It's pretty funny, we're known as the people of the happy land, and I love the vibe of catching up with all the Samoan players.
Obviously you've played internationals for Samoa. What's the difference between like your international test and then the World Cup? How much do you step it up to get ready for a World Cup campaign?
Yeah, I think it's just the consistency of playing more than that one game, and having to control those emotions, because it does get pretty emotional every time. You sing the anthem, you do the sivatau, and because it means a lot when you represent your country, because you're not just, like I said, you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for your parents, your family, your country, all those people out there, and giving hope to the kids who'd like to do the same thing. And it's such a great experience, and something it's hard to describe unless you go through it. which is pretty cool to have people in our camp who aren't Samoan as well. We have some Australians, some Asians in there, and to see them embrace my culture, it's pretty inspiring.
So I guess that you take it upon yourself as well to maybe teach some of the Australians who don't know about Samoan culture. You take time out to teach them just the bits about the culture that you feel are important.
Yeah, I won't go out of my way to just throw it in
Yeah.
their face, but if they ever ask, I definitely I won't hold back and tell them, what my culture's about. I think it's a culture that everyone can benefit from and love and enjoy. And like I said, as my kids get older too, I'd like to teach them as much as I could and so forth.
And what are your main highlights of wearing that Samoan shirt so far? Is there anything that sticks out for you?
Every game I've played, it's been pretty emotional, but probably we played England in Campbelltown, and my little brother got to play his first Test match with me in that game. That was a pretty emotional game for me because most of my family's in Sydney, and we played in Sydney, and they all got to make it. So that was probably the most highlighted game or experience of my Samoan campaign.
So you mentioned the World Cup and what happened. You signed for Lee. When did you first hear of Lee's interest? Who was it who contacted you from the League club first of all?
Oh, geez, I can't even remember. I think it was they spoke to my manager first, a couple of weeks before we went to World Cup, and my manager brought it up to me, and then I got to meet Derek and Jukesy down in Sydney. I think they were visiting a few NRL clubs, just seeing what the setups were like, and had a good talk with them, and then signed it just before we went off to the World Cup.
What were your first impressions then of Derek Beaumont? Obviously, we know him in the media. We know he's not afraid to speak his mind. What was your first thoughts on Derek?
He was great, to be honest. He wasn't like what he was when you talk to him now, but he was very very convincing, and he was very open to me, to be honest. I'm pretty thankful to have met a bloke like Derek, to be honest. He's helped me a lot since I've been here. And it was a choice that I was happy of making.
Was there any doubt in your mind? Obviously, Lee had just been relegated from Super League at that point. They lost a £1 million game to Catalan. Was there any doubt in your mind about dropping down to a championship level of rugby?
No, because my thought process of going to League was to get them to Super League. I like a challenge, and just the thought of helping a town get to Super League was what was motivating me to go there. I knew they weren't in Super League, and I watched a bit of their games when I first started hearing that they wanted me. And like I said, I went there to try and help that team get to Super League.
And was there anyone who maybe has played for League who was from Australia? Was anyone who you spoke to about the League club beforehand? Any ex-players?
I spoke to H. That was the only person I spoke to. I got to play with H in my first game for Samoa, and he just told me what it was like there. And I'm honestly, if I haven't seen a place or didn't see something for myself, I have to sort of just take it in my own hands and just trust myself to go. And you go to clubs, you get offered by clubs, and you talk to players, and they're always going to say it's good. You know what I mean? Especially if they want you, they're never going to say anything bad. So, I went there with an open mind, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
So, obviously, for people who may not realise, because on the show before we've mainly had players just playing around Super League, how long does it take to get yourself sorted to move from Australia, get your stuff ready? How long did that process take to get yourself over to England?
Honestly, I can't remember. It was a long process. Well, actually, it was a quick process. I think it only felt long because I had to go for the World Cup, and my family was all back home. And I was away from them for 6 weeks, and as soon as I got back from the World Cup, everything was done in 2 weeks. Steve Maiden was such a good help with getting all my visas and that done. Same as Steve Openshaw. The club was great to me, to be honest. Everything was so smooth. I didn't need to do much. I got one text to go to an office, have a meeting, and come back, and that was it. I think the hardest thing was just saying goodbye and counting down the days that I had to leave Australia, to be honest.
And what was the flight like? Obviously, with you and your young family, did the flight feel fast? Because obviously it takes a long time from Australia to England. Or did you feel it like everything? Oh God, is it this flight?
It was terrible, to be honest. We had good seats and stuff, but just having a 1-year-old daughter run around, tapping every random person, trying to talk to him was pretty tough. But like I said, it was great. We first time we got to fly together, and I enjoyed it.
And I've got to ask you as well, Peter, you get off the airport, winter over in England. What was it like experiencing that cold for the first time when you got off that plane?
I didn't mind it. I actually came to England before I went to leave for the World Club Challenge against Warrington when I was at St George. So, but I love the cold. I love the cold fashion. I love wearing jumpers and stuff. So it didn't bother me too much. It actually snowed our first day we landed here. My kids absolutely loved it. So the first day of welcoming from England to my family, it was pretty special.
And I'm guessing, obviously, in Australia, hot weather, they've never seen snow before. Was you out there helping build the snowmans and stuff for them?
I was actually in the ground, doing that starfish thing. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I was doing it with my kids. It was great. Every chance we get to see snow in England, my kids and I were straight out the door and trying to play with it. So it's cool.
What was your first thoughts on Leigh Sports Village when you drive up, you see the facilities? I'm guessing you thought this is a good stadium to be a part of.
Yeah, it was the first thing I said. It was an unbelievable stadium. Great setup. I lived in the state right next to it. And it was just a good place to play in. One of the best stadiums I played in.
And obviously, you'll know Leigh fans are very passionate. Were you surprised probably that how many people knew you were straight away when you come over to England and the Leigh fans start speaking to you?
No, yeah, I was surprised, to be honest, because I didn't know what to expect, rugby-wise or fan-wise, which was also a sort of daunting bit, going into a system, not knowing any players in that team besides H. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I didn't want to give anyone the wrong impression as well, but I knew I was going there as a leader, and I had to sort of show them that I'm here to actually win. We get a lot of NRL players when we come over here, we get judged just for coming over for the money, to be honest, which is why I took it so personal, because a lot of people thought that's what I came there for, but I actually wanted to come there and win and make a difference and help the town, get to Super League.
And you just mentioned, Ben, about what people perceive NRL players who come over here. I think a lot of people see them as well as people who aren't playing any rugby back in Australia, maybe past their best. But you were actually in the prime of your career, weren't you, when you came over to Leigh? And you said you wanted to prove a point and try a new challenge, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I think because back home you can't come to Super League unless you played, I think 70% of NRL games your last 2 years or something like that, which it sort of explains why some players come at weird times, to be honest. Where some players come earlier than they should have, or some players come later than they should have. But yeah, we always get judged on our performances just based on money, and it it didn't help when that was a big reason with past league players. I didn't want to get perceived as a player like that, and yeah, I enjoyed every bit, and I hope to the fans there that they know that I gave it my all, despite some not good circumstances or situations I got in, but yeah.
So we'll start off with that season. First of all, the first pre-season friendly. Your first opportunity in it against Leigh's local rivals, Wigan. Your first time in front of a North Stand. What was it like hearing that crowd getting behind you for your first game?
Unbelievable. I love the North Stand. I still go and watch Leigh play now, or well, before this pandemic. And I love the vibe. I love the vibe there, and they should be proud of themselves, their fans, because they give a lot to the players. You know what I mean? And a lot of the players vibe off the crowd, and that North Stand, yeah, it's outstanding.
And then you go to Langtree Park and you give Saints, who would end up winning the league, but they didn't win the grand final, but end up finishing top of the table by a canter. So people look at Leigh then and think this is going to be a walk in the park. Get to the first game against Toronto, go 2 tries in front of Ben, all of a sudden something just went wrong in that game. Can you explain what maybe went wrong against the Wolfpack that day, if you can at all?
Yeah, we did have a great start. Those 2 friendlies. There was a lot of emotions in both those games. Well, what went wrong against Toronto is we gave away 13 penalties, I think it was, and I think 8 of them were in the second half. That's what went wrong. We just we just gave away too many penalties, and you give any team like that, doesn't matter who it is, they're going to make the most of it. And Toronto did that. I heard Ryan Brearley talk about it was because we were too emotionally invested into the game because he's seen a centre winger run over from one side of the field to the other side of the field, and that was me. But the main reason why we done that was because obviously camaraderie is a big thing in rugby league, and we had a finding system, and one of the fines were every time we played at home, the last person to get to the huddle when we score a try would have to pay £5. So that's the main reason why we done it. But I don't know what he's seen, but yeah, I candidly believe we gave away too many penalties, to be honest, and they were a good team. To me, I thought they were a really good team. I knew nothing of them, which is why I couldn't be emotionally, invested into the game. I didn't know any of their players and that. So, we started well and just gave away too many penalties, and they just made the most of it.
Did maybe the crowd, because obviously, you probably didn't know, but a lot of the Toronto players used to play for Lee, and a lot of Lee fans weren't happy with how the players went to Toronto. Did maybe the energy from the crowd get you going in that first 10 minutes, but then the way the crowd reacted to Toronto got their spirits up as well?
I knew that a lot of the players went there because I obviously knew Pato. Do you know what I mean? And I got to play a lot of rugby with Pato, and I don't think it had anything to do with the crowd. It's like I said, we gave away too many penalties because the same thing happened at Summer Bash. The crowd was probably was 10 times better at the Summer Bash, and we actually played better until I got sent off. So, like I said, if he said that we were emotionally invested in it, but their third and second try, Liam Kay tells the crowd to shush, and then Ryan Brearley actually does a 360 and throws the ball into the crowd. So I don't know what game he was watching or remembers, but yeah, like I said, we just gave away too many penalties, and they were a good team, and they made the most of it.
One game I've got to ask you about as well, just in that for one at the start, was Barrow away. What was it like playing in that sort of ground event conditions away at Barrow?
It was tough, which is why I always say that playing in the championship was the toughest rugby I've ever played. Just because of the players, I didn't know much about many players, and the fields like Barrow and Batley. It was very testing, but yeah, I enjoyed it, to be honest. It was a lot of fun.
And then the season obviously carries on. Lee surprising a lot of people for the wrong reasons, and it results in Neil Jukes losing his job. Were you sad to see Neil leave the club like that?
Yeah, I was sad because he got me here with Big Degsy, and we actually had a meeting about it, and Derek confronted us and said he wasn't going anywhere. And then Jukesy walks out of the room, and we see Derek follow him, and Derek come back and say he's decided he wants to leave. It was tough because the coaches give you a game plan to do, and it's up to the players to do the performance. You know what I mean? And at that time, I took it pretty personal because that means I wasn't doing my part of the job as well, and I don't like to let people down, especially my teammates. And it was a tough time, but yeah, disappointed to see it happen.
I've got to ask you as well, because you was part of the game against Toulouse, which resulted in Neil Jukes' last one, and for the first time probably in a long time, the North Stand turned their back on the lead team and were cheering Toulouse on at points. What was it like playing in that sort? Because obviously the North Stand's well known for getting behind the lead boys. Yeah. Well, that felt like the only time they ever turned against him. What was that like for yourself?
It was tough, and for me, it was embarrassing to hear our own fans support the other team. It was embarrassing because I feel like I should have been doing better or whatever. Like we lost to Toulouse, and they had 12. I think they had 11 players. You know what I mean? And we still couldn't make a comeback. But the other thing is, two things I got from that game is I don't think our fans they didn't understand where we were as a playing group because Drew Hutchison done his ACL the previous year, had no rugby. He was only 22. Bodine Thompson, his first week of training, he done half a week of training the week before we played Wigan, and he played in that game. Then you had, I tore my quad off the bone in the World Cup. We weren't really gelled as we should have been, despite our good performances in trial matches. And then the second thing I learned from that game is that how much it meant to other teams to beat us. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it showed me the expectations we had as a team. I didn't know we were meant to have that much effect in the comp, to be honest. But yeah, just seeing those Toulouse players celebrate the way they did after the game just motivated me more to step up and do a lot more for the team.
And I think a lot of people forget as well, you were vice captain as well that time, underneath H at that point. So one of your jobs, isn't it, to try and build the lads' spirits up? What were you saying to the teammates to try and get them through this bad spell?
We just had to keep sticking together, and like it's going to turn. Like they had to understand we were a new playing group. There were a lot of expectations on us. We know how good we could be, and we ended up proving that. And I think one of the biggest changes of that was getting Mickey Home back in the squad. He was such a big part he played a big part in our year that year. And like I said, we just had to keep sticking with each other and just keep pulling through until everything clicked, and eventually it did.
So Neil Dukes leaves and Kieran Purtill's announced his interim, but he takes the job on for the rest of the season. What were the main differences that you'd find between Neil and Kieran?
I thought they were both good coaches. It was just a turning point for the playing group ourselves. We're 5 games in and we're meant to be the best team in the comp, and we're sitting last or second last or something. We either had to turn it now or it was just going to get worse and we were going to lose our jobs anyway. So it was just the vibe, the mindset of each player that we had to make a change, and we ended up did.
I've got to ask you about a player who only played 20 minutes for Lee, but he had an impact probably for the wrong reason. That was Kurt Baptiste. He played against Batley for 20 minutes, took a knock, came off, and subsequently left the club. What was your memories of Kurt at Lee?
Well, I got to play Australian schoolboys with Kurt, and I knew him pretty well before he came. He was a nice, good bloke. I think he just didn't expect it to be that hard with his partner and himself to come to England. And especially if it's your first time into the country and you don't see it how you thought it would be, it could take a big toll on you. And he's a big family man, and I think he did miss home. So, yeah.
And then the turning point it felt like the turning point for your boys of the training squad was the Challenge Cup game at Batley, which surprised a lot of people by actually being on in the first place, because we turned up to Mount Pleasant and you could see the snow on the pitch, you could see the snow all at the side, and the lads managed to grind out a win. Probably an ugly game. There's not much that many people remember for it. What was your memories of that game and that snow at Batley?
Cold and deaf. I nearly died in the showers straight after the game. I remember KP and Degsy had to, give me their jackets to keep me warm. I was shaking after the game, but that was such a good game to start our winning streak off, because it was tough. It tested us mentally, and even though we just won, if that game went another hour, we still would have won the same way. I believe it was a tough game. Batley were there the whole way, and they used that field pretty well. And it's hard to run on snow and mud uphill, to be honest. So it was a great experience.
What I remember, because I was commentating the game that day, is the warm-up, you didn't warm up on the pitch as you normally do. There was a little bit of grass next to the car park warming up. What were your thoughts when you thought, oh no, we're not warming up on the pitch, it's a little bit of grass here, and all the fans are watching you, aren't they? Just warming up on a tiny bit of grass.
I didn't think, I was just in awe, to be honest. I don't think I'd done the warm-up properly. I was still just looking around a bit at the snow, and I remember just picking up snow and throwing it at Liam Hood all the time during warm-up. So, I was actually enjoying it. It was such a great moment, and like I said, a great experience.
So then the winning run continues, and there's a game that always stands out for how good the Leigh team could be, and that was Sheffield away at the Legacy Park in Sheffield, where you set a record for the highest score at half-time. But for you, that day resulted in quite a nasty burn for yourself, didn't it, off that 3G pitch? What was it like playing on that different kind of surface?
It was weird, to be honest. It was I ended up getting a big graze on my car from that game, and it took at least 5 months for that graze to actually calm down. And but yeah, it was a great team performance. The facility looked nice. The vibe was good. I thought Sheffield done a great job with the music and stuff that day. It was a great day to play, and yeah, like you said, we're in a winning streak, and it felt good, and all the boys were pretty happy at that time.
What was your thoughts on the Easter schedule as well over in England? What was your thoughts on that busy Easter period as well?
Yeah, it was an interesting experience for me, but I'm a pretty, like I said, an open-minded person. It is what it is. I had to play, and yeah, especially at that time, we knew we needed every single game to win, and I just had to keep doing what I had to do for the team.
So Lee's runs keeps going, and then, like you said, we played Toronto for Summer Bash, and Lee take a healthy lead, and then again it just seems to slip away. And you mentioned them getting a sin bin. Do you think that was the right call from a referee, or would you say just a penalty was sufficient?
Getting sent off was probably pretty big. Probably put on report, and definitely a penalty. 100% put on report. If anything, I didn't think it was that bad. As a fullback, it's pretty tough in defence. You're running sideways, sideline to sideline, and it's a pretty frantic thing to do because teams like to throw the ball around. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed getting sent off. I would have understood being put on report and getting the penalty, but I thought being sent for the whole game was a pretty big ask.
And I've got to ask you as well, did Ben Reynolds' kick go over from your point of view?
Yeah, he went over 100%. But like I said, it is what it is. It happened, and we shouldn't have gave those tries away anyway. To be honest, we wouldn't have been in that position. But yeah, like I said before, Toronto was a good team in that competition that year, and yeah, they ended up getting the 2 points.
But the competition Lee were doing well in was a Challenge Cup, and you get a chance to play Leeds in the quarter-final, albeit at Featherstone instead of Headingley. Again, there's a tackle of yours that you end up getting a red card for, so you're not back for the whole game. I look at it now and I think I'd have said a 10-minute sin bin was probably enough for it because you didn't realise how light the player was. Would you agree with that assessment on it?
I would have been, yeah. Like, for me, to get a red card, it has to be something that's, how do you say it? Something that's like, it's pretty foul, you know what I mean? Like punching someone in the back of the head or something that's ridiculously bad, you know what I mean? Not anything action. I think getting sent for 10, would have been the right choice. But yeah, I shouldn't have done it anyway. I should have, I didn't expect the ball to stay in. I thought it was going to bounce out, and then was just trying to stop a try from happening, and ended up doing that tackle. And yeah, like it's not one of the things that I look back and I'm happy about. It was a great chance for us to go to the last four, I think it was, and I think we were up 10-0 by then, and very disappointed. And I let a lot of people down. I let a lot of fans down as well. But yeah.
I've got to ask you all because I remember the build up to that game, and Lee were playing some good rugby at that point. But Brian McDermott, who was the coach of Leeds at that time, seemed to paint Lee as these thugs who were just going out to cause fouls. Do you think maybe what he said beforehand played into the referee's mind a bit, but the first proper foul, the Leeds fans on the back, maybe resulted in that decision?
Yeah, well, I have no idea where that came from because he would have just been judging Lee off the teams he played against, which would have been the team the year before I got there, because he obviously hasn't played us, you know what I mean? And Salford never said anything like that when we played them. So, yeah, I honestly didn't know where that came from, whether Lee were, I don't know, perceived as dirty players the year before I got there or previous years, but I'm pretty sure we had 5 guys in the team who couldn't hurt a butterfly. So, yeah, I didn't even get to see that quote or that before you mentioned it. So, we actually thought we had a chance to win, and yeah, I didn't help one bit.
I mean, you just mentioned, then we'll go a bit back to that Salford game. What was it like playing against a Super League team in front of the LSV and producing a performance like you did against Salford?
For me, it was great because, especially how we started and then where we were ending, where we were heading towards when we played Salford. Lee, the town, the people, the fans deserved to have a Super League team playing in that stadium that year, and especially for us to put a performance up like that, they really deserved it. I think the town needed it, and the boys done a great effort that night.
And did anyone mention to you beforehand about, obviously it's a local derby league against Salford, not much geography between the two? Did any fans mention it to you, like how much it means to Leeds to win a game like that?
Not really. I knew how important it was anyway, just because we wanted to go as far as we could in the Challenge Cup. But I always thought Wigan were the local derby team. So, yeah.
So then the season keeps going for Lee, and we're still winning games, and then it gets to the last round of the regular games and a chance for Lee to get into that top four. But as we know now, history shows that they've just missed out, I think, by a point, which ironically was the goal against Toronto. Maybe could have put Lee in the top four. But I remember the main image of that day was your reaction at the end, knowing that you haven't made it. How gutted of a feeling was that for you when you found out that Lee didn't make that top four?
It hurt me a lot. I love the town, and I kept getting messages saying if there's a lot of interest for you if we went to make the semis and that, and that's not what I wanted to hear, because I had big hopes that we were going to make it, and it wasn't that Toronto game, the kick against Toronto. It was the first 5 games that made us not make it. We all know that. I still talk about it now. If we won at least one of them, we would have made the semis and we'd be in Super League by now. I can't really believe that. And it broke me just because I went, I found out my son had a tumour that year, before, I think just after the Salford game. And, I was getting a bit of stick. The team was getting a bit of stick about the way we were performing, what happened with me against Leeds. But no one understood, what I was going through at that time until after, I came out and said it, and I was getting apologies from fans who, were saying that they said certain things to me, but they wish they didn't. But that's not the point. Is it meant a lot to me, that town. Lee's my home in England. Every time I go back there to watch the boys or visit friends, I always get shivers driving down that Pennington Flash Road. And hopefully I get to go back there one day and just get to sit back and chill there before I go back home.
And obviously you made some good friends there as well. And one player we always see on social media that you keep in touch with is Mickey Iam as well. What was it like playing and training with a player who's done all in the game like Mickey has?
Yeah, unbelievable. I knew Mickey when he was at Warrington. They came down to Wollongong and we had a training camp with them for 2 weeks. I didn't get to know him personally, but I just knew the player of what he's done and that. So for him to come in, I understood that he was going to make a big change in our team. And I'm very grateful I got to meet him, because he's a family member to me in England, and I'm grateful I got to meet people like him, Kieran Purtell, Paul Ando, and they've made my stay in England a lot smoother.
So again, the disappointment of Lee brings about another question mark for your future. Obviously, Derek's come out and said that the contract isn't going to be able to be kept with the money that we're receiving from the RFL for finishing in the league. Was there any other clubs who was interested with you in Super League, and if so, why did you choose to go to Castleford?
Yeah, I only had a day to sort out my deals. I was just sitting back for a bit. It was such a weird moment for me because I've never been in something like that before. And I had a chance to go to Huddersfield, Toronto, or Cass. So I got to pick out of them 3. It would have been a tough call to go to Toronto, only because I had kids and, I couldn't go away from them because my son had to stay in Manchester to do his operation for his tumour, and it just would have been a big ask for my family. And then Cass, I got to watch a few of their games on replay, and the way Paul McShane was playing at the time sort of was the all clear for me to go to Cass.
So what was it like then going from LSV to them facilities to an older stadium in the Menderhost jungle?
I love the jungle, to be honest, and I'm talking about the stadium as well. Back home, we have some stadiums like that, and they're one of the best places to ever play at. The old stadiums, with a lot of history in it, and the jungle is just something you can't explain. It's a surreal feeling when you play there when it's packed, and no one likes to come and play at the jungle. They all hate it, which makes it even better for us. So yeah, I'm enjoying my time here at Cass.
And what was it like meeting Darryl Powell for the first time? Obviously, Castleford the year before were dominant in the Super League and just missed out on winning the grand final against Leeds. What was it like then working with a coach like Darryl Powell and still working with Darryl now?
It's great. I'm pretty coachable, to be honest. I think that's why I get along with most coaches. I'm pretty open-minded. I just like to talk to coaches, do what I can, and he's very intelligent. He has a great mindset, a great vibe about him, and he's always making sure the boys are all right first. Do you know what I mean? And I love playing underneath him, and it's been great.
Was there anyone who you knew at Cass before you made the move as well? Anyone to make the move a bit easier for yourself?
Yeah, I knew Ben Roberts, Jesse Jr. I think it was them three before I got there, and it was them who I had to talk to see if this would be the right move for me. And yeah, the first thing they said was don't expect a fancy stadium and stuff like that, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy every moment of being at Cass at the moment.
So I've got to ask, well, when you make your Super League debut, what was the difference you found between the Championship standard and the Super League standard when you first played in Super League?
Just the speed. The speed of it was a bit faster and not as many bigger players. I thought everyone in Championship was just massive. Do you know what I mean? And it was more physical. Sorry about that. It was more physical, to be honest. I've never been bashed up so much in my life in a rugby game before, like I had in Championship. But and yeah, just getting to adapt to the style of play that Cass were playing was a cool thing as well.
And obviously, the media knew Castleford as classic Cass because the way they throw the ball around. Is that something that suits your game as well? You like to get the ball around to players and create some good attacking plays?
Yeah, I love the team that throws the ball around, but I also love tough defence, which is why I really like the way Wigan and St Helens play. Their attitude is just immense, and it's what we've taken as Cass this year. We've done a lot. Everyone, talks about how we use the ball a lot, but we've actually focused on our defence this year, and it's actually shown. So hopefully we can, just keep working on it.
So you complete the rest of the season at Cass, initially on loan, and now you're a permanent Cass player. What was that pre-season like for yourself, finally getting up to scratch with Super League pre-season?
It was good. I got to do a full pre-season at fullback and get to do combinations with players. Like I said, I didn't know many players coming into this country, and I was pretty comfortable coming into the next pre-season. Like I said, I spent half with the boys anyway, and we just lost to Wigan in the game to make the grand final, and they ended up pumping Warrington. So my confidence was pretty high going into that pre-season that we could make the grand final that year, and I enjoyed it. It's such a good place to learn it and be a part of.
And obviously 2018 as well, you get tape on your first Magic weekend as well. It's not at St James's Park as it would be now if the season was still happening, but it's at Anfield. What was that experience like to play in such front of a historic crowd like Anfield?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. My family members flew over and they love football, so just for them to get to sit in that stadium was pretty cool for them too. But yeah, it was great atmosphere. We got pumped by St Helens, but just the weekend itself is such a great weekend, and I enjoy it.
And one game for yourself that endeared yourself even more to Leigh fans was that moment when you beat Wigan with that drop goal at the end with the Castleford players all celebrating as well. even being a Cas player, did it still mean a lot to beat Wigan with your Lee roots as well?
Um, not. I don't like playing against Wigan. Full stop. To be honest, they're probably my least favourite team, but they're also a team that I would love to play for. Like, you know, if I was first coming to England, just the way they play, the way they're brought up, the way they train, it's tough and fun rugby that they play. But yeah, I don't really take much teams personally in Super League. I do enjoy the derby games with Leeds and Wakey. But yeah, I don't really take things really personal.
And then 2018 as well, Cas, another solid season, and it seems like you're building towards something this year. Started off like a house on fire as well until the pandemic stopped. But I've got to ask you about Luke Gale leaving the club. Was that a blow for yourself personally? Because Luke is such a talented player.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed Gailey. I love the way he played. I actually thought he's the best halfback in the country. But yeah, he just had some injuries, and it was sad to see him go. But like I said, rugby league, you got to do what's the best for your family. And yeah, he chose to do that. We weren't upset with it. We're pretty happy for him, and we got to get another great halfback in Danny, and yeah, it's been working well so far.
Yeah, it seems like Danny is kind of slotted straight in, doesn't it, to the Cas style? Sometimes it takes a player a while, but Danny's seemed to found him with ease. And another halfback who's really impressed a lot of people is Drake Truman. He seems like such a really talented player for a young age, doesn't he?
Yeah, Chewy's a freak. We call him world class at our club. The king. He's such a great talent. Danny, I think he just worked really hard in pre-season, especially with our right edge. He came with a real purpose to do his part for the club and win something. So credit to him. He's just done all the hard work, and it's been working out for him so far.
And obviously as well, he was not last season, the season before last, he was voted in the dream team, so it shows his quality. Do you think maybe the fact he didn't play for Saints as much is a benefit to Casper because he's now coming with a point to prove that he's still that world-class player that he was 2 years ago?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if he was playing for Saints, he wouldn't be here, would he? But yeah, only seems, like you said, it was only 2 years ago he made that dream team, and it's just unlucky they all had three good. Saints has three good halves, and I'm not too sure why they didn't put him in the team, but I'm grateful they didn't because he's with us now.
And for yourself, you went from shirt number 1 from the full back to number 3 back in the centre. Was that a change that you wanted to make, or is it that Darryl said, we've got a full back in now, we'll put you back in the centres?
Yeah, Powley brought it up to me. Wanted to see how I'd take it. He wanted to give me the responsibility of looking after the right edge, and I believe fullback's my favourite position, but I love playing centre just as much. So it's been working out so far, and I'm enjoying it. Our team's playing really good. Our right edge is doing really good as well, and Jordan Rankin was doing such a great job at fullback.
What goes into a good centre-wing partnership then? How much training do you do together to kind of build that skills where you get your trust with each other?
Yeah, I just think it's habits to gain trust. Me and Chucky work a lot, with our flick passes, our defensive reads and stuff like that. But for our edge, it's more bigger than just me and Chucky on the wing. It's from back row all the way to our wingers. So, like I said, it's just building habits, keep training, building those reps, doing those reps, and enjoying the process of this journey.
And the first game of the season was played at Headingley against Toronto in a game where Castleford were probably overlooked because it was Toronto and it was Sonny Bill. What was it like coming up against Sonny Bill in the Super League?
It was great. Like I said, I was a Bulldog supporter, and I loved watching Sonny as a kid. And it was just good to see him back in rugby league. I think it's great for our sport, great for Super League. Yeah, and like you said, we weren't even favourites in that game. You know what I mean? But yeah, everyone always doubts our Cas team. They had us 7th last year. We finished in the top 4. The year before they had 5th. You know what I mean? We finished 3rd. So it is what it is. I think everyone just puts us out there, and yeah, we just know deep down in ourselves that we're a good team, and if we keep doing the little things right, we'll end up eventually making something.
So was it, obviously the team produced a good performance, like you said, was it frustrating then that no one was talking about Cass' favourites? I mean, no disrespect to Toronto, but we were playing in the championship last year. No disrespect to them, was it kind of rude looking at it back, thinking Cass are contenders every year, and now they're being thought of going to be pushed away by a new team?
Not really. We knew, like I said before, we know what we're capable of, and it didn't really matter to us. Pally made sure that we just concentrate on ourselves and control what we could control, and we did that. And the results spoke for itself. We ended up winning and walking away with 2 points.
And was there any banter between yourself and Bodie and Thompson after that game about the result?
Yeah, heaps. I was ripping him off during the week anyway. So, but yeah, like I said, I like most of those Toronto, well, nearly all of them, the ones that I know, from like Liam Kay and Ricky Latelli and Chase Stanley. Like, after playing against them at Lee and then knowing them now, they're actually all good blokes, and I think the media just blew it out of proportion when Lee played Toronto back then.
I've got to ask as well now, with the season being stopped when Cass were in good form, how frustrating was it then that the season just got curtailed? I mean, we know the reasons why, but how frustrating as a player, knowing that your team are playing well, for all that momentum to suddenly stop and you've not been able to play rugby now for the best part of 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, it was disappointing that the season stopped, but this pandemic is bigger than rugby league at the moment, and as a team, we're doing the right things to try and stay connected. Keep that camaraderie pretty high, and we're just as eager to get back and play, and more motivated to get back and play than we were before this pandemic. I think it's going to be, like I said before, it's going to be the best year to win it. It's the toughest with all these, the pandemic getting in the way and all the changes you had to make, and then the new fixtures that will come in. I think that's what's going to make this the best Super League comp ever.
And also as well, the Challenge Cup, if that gets contested, how much would you like to get your hands on such a famous trophy like the Challenge Cup as well?
Yeah, I hope it still goes. We got a great first game against York, which is only down the road from us, and I think York deserve a big game like that as well. But just to win something this year is one of my goals and one of the team goals, and yeah.
One thing that you're part of as well is promoting and using social media as well. How important is it for a modern sportsman to be on social media and know the trends and stuff, like Instagram and Twitter and stuff?
I think it's important. Each individual player uses their brand and just try and get the most out of it. Rugby league is such a short game. You don't play it for too long, and you want to try and make the most of it. But also, if you got a TikTok out there, try and use that as well.
And obviously as well, I could just see the blonde there behind the hat. You have the what's the term we call it with that hair? Is it a mouse tail? Is it or something that you had?
Well, when I leave it out, it looks like a mullet, but I normally just plait it into a rat's tail. I dyed it blonde for a charity that I'm ambassador for. The community integrated care, and they'll try to raise money for their workers. So it's a great thing that I'm a part of, and I love enjoying it.
And we obviously saw as well for charity as well. You dyed it pink as well beforehand. What were your children thinking when we saw their dad turning up with pink hair?
Yeah, my daughter liked it. My son didn't know what was going on. But yeah, I've still got some left, so I might use the rest of it.
And what did the wife say of it as well? Did she like it?
She understood what it was for, and she's not phased. I do crazy stuff to my hair, to my looks, let alone just dyeing it pink. So she's, like I said, she's used to it.
So obviously with the season stopping as well now, if the season did come back, what would be your hopes for yourself and for Castleford Tigers as well for the future?
To win something, definitely. I think it's been a long time coming. They were close to 2017, and we've been building up since then as well and getting better every year. And like I said, there's no better time to win it than this year.
And obviously for yourself as well, I'm guessing personal goals is just to play as well as you can, keep yourself in that team.
Yeah, just to be a part of the first team ever to win the Super League competition. Cas deserve it. The town deserves it. You know, they've been through a lot, and yeah, just getting back and trying to win some.
Is coaching something you'd maybe look at in the future when you're playing career ends? You mentioned obviously like you being a leader in the dressing room. Is that a natural step up for yourself, do you think?
Yeah, I believe my IQ for rugby is pretty high. I'd like to coach somewhere. At this time, it's not at the top of my list, but if I ever got a chance, yeah, I wouldn't turn it down, and I'd like to just share what I've known to the next generation, so that they don't make the same mistakes as us, and you know, can turn our game better.
And obviously, with what we don't know what's happening with Super League, concerning one of your former clubs league in the Championship as well, would you like to see promotion, maybe not relegation, but maybe expand Super League next year, get some more eyes on the game?
Yeah, or to be honest, I'd like the Championship game for whatever teams that could afford it to either play each other once each, or you know, once at home or one away, and then play a playoff. I still think someone needs to get promoted from Championship. They deserve it. You know what I mean? No, I don't find it fair that someone can still play a whole season and not go down to Championship. If they're going to keep them there, then either give Championship the chance to play off for the two spots to come up to Super League next year.
And with the restart as well, I think they've just started the meetings for the first set of the restart. Still, it looks like the grand final maybe being played in December or January. As rugby league over here is now winter sport, is that something maybe you'd be looking forward to, playing in different conditions in the cold?
Well, we play on Boxing Day anyway at Castleford, so it's no different to playing in December. But to be honest, it'd be nice to get the season finished before December, so I could have my first Christmas off in England. I don't. It's tough to see it happening in January. I just think there's too much. There's a lot more going on then. You know, new players are signing at different teams, and some players are moving on. So, but yeah, I think as a competition, we just need to worry about getting us the first game, to be honest, and then see where we go from there.
And then how much are you looking forward to claiming a place for Samoa and hopefully playing in the World Cup over here in a country that you've called home for the last 3 years?
Yeah, I'd love to play for Samoa again. There are a lot of young players in the NRL who are coming through now who are pretty good as well. But I've also been talking to Rugby League Cares to do the welfare side of the World Cup. So whether I can do that and play at the same time, I'm not too sure. But that's something to figure about down the line.
Just one thing I've got to ask you about before we wrap this up. I've been looking at how the media's been reporting the NRL in Australia, and in particular, actual Mitchell. What is it about the NRL that they seem to target these players and the reports and stuff? Because we've seen John Bateman as well being targeted. Is it similar to over here with the footballers, where we just try to get the stories for interest?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's because it's the main sport in Australia. That's why it's always like that. I don't understand why the media. I don't understand why the media keeps hammering rugby league like that. But yeah, it's just unfair. We always talk about depression and stuff like that, and the media's the first bit of people to push depression and stuff like that. But then they're the first people to just bring them all back down as well. Do you know what I mean? They're always thinking about being the first person to share the news. It doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. And he's such a young kid as well, Latrell Mitchell. And yeah, I don't know. I just find it unfair. I think if you're going to put a story out there, at least put your name to it and be accountable for what you're going to say, because you know what I mean. It's a lot bigger than just news to most people. It's also it also hits people health wise as well. And
Yeah.
you know, it was just something as little as Latrell Mitchell bending over with his hands on his knees, which science proves now that it's better for you breathing wise. So I hope they send him out an apology or something.
So I've just got to ask before we go on to our usual quick fire questions. What are the hopes for Peter Matalshia on and off the rugby league field?
On the field, it's just to keep doing the best I can. You know, wanting to win something, and just doing whoever I play for to make them proud, really, make myself and my family proud. Off the field, I want to help. I want to help individuals have a strong, positive mindset. I want to make a positive difference. I'm living proof of adversity. You know what I mean? There's always a way out of things, and if I can help the younger generation with their vibe, strengthening their vibe, they could get through life a lot easier. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but they can handle situations a lot easier than what I ever did. And that's my main purpose off the field.
So, Peter, we've got to say thank you very much for giving us an insight into your career and what it's been like in Australia and in England as well. So we'll just end like we normally do on these podcasts with some quick fire questions. Not promising they'll be easy because I always try and get a few hard ones in there as well. So, first of all, favourite ground that you've played at?
Oh, jeez. Jungle in LSV.
Your best teammate who you played alongside?
Ever or just in Super League?
Ever. It can be ever.
Oh, my brother.
Your best player in Super League then?
It would be John Bateman.
Lee or Castleford?
You put him in the middle there. I'll go with Lee because it's my home of England.
Lancashire or Yorkshire?
Yorkshire, I love Yorkshire.
Chippy tea or barbecue?
Barbecue.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
And lastly, not dropping any hints here, but favourite podcast presenter?
You?
Go on, I'll let you have that one. Well, Peter, I've got to say this has been a really enjoyable chat. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us here on the Taylor Talks podcast, and for, like you said about brands, helping this brand grow as well. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Thanks, mate.